Hi guys, what's up? Little Prepper Lady here. Today is Monday. It's July 8th, 2019. So let's jump right into topic. I'm going to start off just by saying I'm not sure how I feel about this. Um, and I'll explain why. You'll kind of understand that as I go. You know how I am. Um, so let's kind of go over the information and then we'll discuss it. So the crisis at the border that just continues and continues and continues, and obviously a lot of us know um, that that is a huge thing that Trump used not only for his past election but this one coming up to be reelected in 2020. So the things that are going on currently at the border. There's been new reports that have come out from various news sources. Reporters have gone into these migrant detention centers where they're basically housing a lot of children, or they were in June, and looked at the conditions and those kind of things. We all know how mainstream news media is, so we have to take it with a grain of salt. Unless you were actually there. Footage can be manipulated, faked, different things like that. So we just don't know, unless we're there, unless we're experiencing it. So let's kind of talk about it a little bit here. So recently, and they've been trying to get this to happen for a while, Congress did give $4.6 billion in a border funding bill. That essentially, obviously, us as taxpayers are going to end up having to pay for one way or the other, because that's how everything works. They don't just give out money for free. Somebody has to pay for it some way, and it usually ends up falling on us. So we have to bear that in mind as well. So here we are as taxpayers, as people who get up every day and go to work, pay our taxes, do our due diligence as, United States citizens, and we're paying for illegals to come over here and be taken care of, which I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about humanitarianism and making sure that people are taken care of. But we have to bear in mind that they're coming here the wrong way. They're not coming here the right way. So they should not be expecting the Taj Mahal when they get over here, as far as, a place to stay. Having food, water, shelter, and clothing, as long as those things are taken care of in an adequate way, then that's what you should be expecting, especially if you're entering a country illegally. So let's just keep that in the back of our minds. Now, as of June 1st, there were about 2,500 migrant children in a couple of these detention centers down at the border, I believe in Texas. Clint, Texas is the one facility that they were doing a lot of the reports on. But now that's down to 350. Now, essentially what they're doing with these children is they are going and they are sending them to the Department of Health and Human Services shelter system after processing and all that kind of stuff has gone through. So these reporters are coming in and saying that the conditions are absolutely inhumane at these facilities, and there has been a massive outbreak and all sorts of different diseases and things like scabies, shingles, chickenpox. We also have to keep this in the back of our minds. Anytime that you have a lot of people that are coming from all different places, so let's also keep this in mind, many of these migrants that are fleeing South America are fleeing areas like Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. So you have different locations that have different things going on in those locations, whether it be drug cartels, whether it be certain forces, controlling the governments, the towns, the cities, that kind of stuff. And you have all of these different people who live different lifestyles coming together in one area. So the chances, just in that aspect of, having different diseases spread is huge, especially when they're not getting normal health care like the rest of us in America are getting. They don't go to the doctor. They don't have fresh water in a lot of these towns and things that they're living in. So their living conditions are pretty harsh, and they're fleeing that and taking the chance at the border, taking the chance of going into these detention facilities to get away from those kind of harsh conditions and the living situations that they're in. So these reporters and these people our advocates for these migrants coming over here illegally are saying, oh, we're doing all these bad things to these people, when it was their choice in the first place. They made that conscious decision to leave wherever they are for whatever reason, whatever the situation is, and head to America, knowing all too well what was waiting for them once they crossed that border. I guarantee you, word around, especially in villages and things like that, in those kind of countries, people talk and they know what's going on at the border. So they were not expecting open arms and come in, you're going to get all sorts of stuff. They knew what they were getting into when they did it, and they still made the conscious decision to do that. So with that being said, let's just think about that and say, at least they're getting something. At least they have a bed to sleep on. At least they have water. At least they have food. At least they have clothing. All that kind of stuff. So these advocates that are helping the immigrants, they're not helping them in the proper way. They're teaching them ways to get through the border illegally. They're hiding them. They are teaching them how to get around the system and how to go through the loopholes in the system so as not to have to do things the proper way. And that's not right. I'm all about advocating for people if they want to have a better life and escape the terribleness of the country that they're in, but they need to do it the right way. And we need to be teaching them to do it the right way. So if you're going to be an advocate for somebody that's trying to come over here illegally, maybe you should sit back and say, we should be teaching them the proper way of doing things, the proper channels to go through, the proper way to become a actual United States citizen. Because if you're doing it illegally, you're always going to have that risk of, you don't know when an agent's going to knock on your door and take you out of this country and deport you. And let's say, you've had children and they were born here, so they're U.S. citizens, they get to stay and you have to leave. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So I think that's a huge important thing, and I don't think a lot of people are thinking about that. Now, though, because Trump has said that he was going to raise tariffs through Mexico, they're actually stepping up and doing something about it. So I believe that's going to help with a lot of, the migrants that are coming over the border. So hopefully that, helps to aid as far as all of that goes and cut down on a lot of the people. But we're just going to have to keep an eye on the situation, because it's been an issue for a while. It's going to continue to be an issue. There's not just any one solution that's going to solve the crisis that is going on. So, let's also think about this. This was kind of my take on the entire thing. All of these advocates, all of these reporters, all of these people that are supporting, illegal immigration and all of this kind of stuff are, speaking out and saying, all of this is inhumane and all of this is terrible and these things shouldn't be happening and what are we doing to these people and the conditions are terrible. What would happen to us if we tried to go into a country? I guarantee you it wouldn't be a nice experience. In fact, a lot of times when Americans end up trying to travel to another country, we get treated terribly. And if you're doing it illegally, trying to sneak across the border, they're going to detain you, and not in a nice facility where you're going to get food and water and all that kind of stuff. More so in a facility where you're probably going to be tortured. And I'm talking bad torture. I'm talking about, massive amounts of torture where people even die. So we have to keep that in mind. We're a pretty soft country as far as the things that we let go on and the people that we let in here, and we need to stop being that way. A lot of these other countries don't have the kind of issues that we have for that simple fact. Toughen ourselves up. And why do we have to be the police state for the entire world? You don't see other countries being a police state for the entire world. So why is it the United States has to be? I think that we all should work together to try to combat the issues, try to combat, starving children and not clean water and, uneducated individuals, no access to healthcare and medicines and things like that. I think instead of just being the one country in the world that does it, I think we all need to. We all need to be focused on that kind of stuff. And instead of bickering about different things, we need to come up with solutions. The heads of every country, need to put aside their differences and come up with solutions and try to combat the issues that are at hand, affecting not only, North America, South America, but the entire world. So that's just my take on it. That's how I feel. Let me know what you guys think about this entire border crisis, what you think is going to happen, what your opinions and thoughts are on all the information that I just discussed as far as the conditions, and, give me some other ideas of things that would be a good solution to it. Not that it's anything that us little people here would be able to say, hey, I think maybe you should try this, because we all know they're not going to listen to us, but maybe someday it'll get to the point where they need our help. And if we're sitting here thinking of ways that we can better solve the issue at hand, then it could become useful and beneficial. And there are a lot of people that, are watching this that live around those areas. So what's kind of your take on all of this kind of stuff? As always, guys, always do remember everything does happen for a reason. So whether you're having a good day or a bad day, you're in a good situation or a bad situation, just stick with it. You're on that journey for a reason. Everything's going to be okay. Also, always remember, forget about the past. There isn't anything that we can do about the past other than learn and grow and try to be better people from our past. We need to be staying focused on the future while we're living our lives right now. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and we all could not be here tomorrow. So it's very important that we're living, loving, laughing, and enjoying our lives right now while staying focused on the future. That's all I've got for you guys today. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope everybody has a good Monday, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.